Hey, Undisputed listeners, before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com now. Let's start the show. Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning, guys. How we doing over there?
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing, Skip?
This is a rare privilege for me. I get to start this show talking about two phony goats, Aaron Rodgers and then LeBron James. Here we go.
Skip,
Good for me.
Skip, before we get started, remember I told you yesterday that Dr. King, I think it's his younger daughter, Bernice, she reached out to me yesterday. She watches the show, and she wanted to thank you and I for talking about her father and speaking on behalf. She said, but Shannon, can you do me this favor? Can you mention my mom? She said she was behind the scenes, but she was the backbone of the entire operation.
I'm sure she was.
And you know, the saying, behind every great man is a great woman. We believe that Dr. King was a great, great man. So she had to be a great, great woman. So Bernice, as I told you I would, congratulations to your mom and dad for their service, and thank you again.
I love that.
Honored.
That's so special. Well, Mom, this one's for you. We're thinking about you. Guys, we are 6 days away from the NFC Championship on Fox, where two living legends will go toe-to-toe. While Tom Brady has 6 Lombardi trophies and 4 MVP awards, Aaron Rodgers is no slouch either. He's expected to win his 3rd MVP this season, but has only gotten to 1 Super Bowl. And it comes up plenty, guys, in his 16-year career. Skip has repeatedly said Brady is the GOAT, but Shannon, you've said several times on this show that Aaron is actually the better quarterback. So how much would a head-to-head playoff win against TB12 help Rodgers' GOAT case?
Skip, it would help immensely. You're talking about, and also, we all believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to win the regular season MVP. So that would be 3 Super Bowl. That would be 3 regular season MVPs. And then when you combine that, if he were to get to and win the Super Bowl, that would be a very, very small room in which you have a player with 3 regular season MVPs and at least 2 Super Bowl MVPs. That would be Peyton Manning has 5 and 2. That would be Tom Brady that has 6 and 3. So Aaron Rodgers would also be in that room. And so, Skip, that's a very small room because when you start trying to decide GOAT, okay, how many people are in the room to start? And as we move to the right, Skip, how many do we start dropping off as we move those guys? And so this would mean a lot. And to do it and to get this game against Tom Brady, Skip, normally we don't see matchups like this. What made Peyton and Brady's matchup so special, Skip, one was trying to keep the other from the Super Bowl. So we got an opportunity to see them play on a regular occurrence. Normally, we wouldn't have an opportunity to see this unless it was in the Super Bowl. So now we get an opportunity to see Brady Manning, but it's Brady Rodgers because somebody's going to keep the other from reaching their ultimate destination. And to win 3 regular season MVPs and multiple Super Bowls, Skip, like I said, it's a very, very short list. And that's the knock against Rodgers. Yeah, he's great. The numbers you look at, less than 100 interceptions with more than 400 touchdown passes. So you're like, wow, look at this in the statistics. It's blow you away. The quarterback rating blows you away. But he only has 1 Super Bowl. So, Shannon, well, how great is he? And I think that's the thing that when we look at great players, how many championships do they coincide with it? And plus, Skip, we haven't had a Super Bowl winning. Write this down. Hold on. The last regular season MVP to win the Super Bowl in the same season, Kurt Warner, 1999. Because that's a long, long time, ain't it? So if he could cap this with a MVP season with a Super Bowl, and we believe, Skip, if the Packers win the Super Bowl, he'll be the MVP. It will be a historic season. It'll be his greatest season 48 and 5 touchdown passes to cap that off. So, Skip, it would go a long, long way. He would have had to do it against Brady. He couldn't do it against Breeze because it wouldn't have. Breeze is great, but it wouldn't. I don't believe it would have the same significance as doing against Tom Brady.
So, let me nail this down before I launch on it. You are leaning towards saying if Aaron Rodgers beats Tom Brady head-to-head, he will have a very strong case that he is the GOAT.
I believe he's a better quarterback. Now, GOAT status is going to probably take him another Super Bowl, but I believe he's a better quarterback. See, Skip, I believe two things are operating here. Brady is the more accomplished. I believe Rodgers is a better player. That's just me.
Okay, this is just me. I would like to apologize publicly to Tom Brady for doing this topic on the show. I don't know who comes up with these questions. I'm embarrassed. I'm humiliated for the sake of our show that we're having to do this. No. But again, you have made this case. You have leaned toward this case for the 4 years I've worked with you.
Yeah, we're about to be 5 in September.
We're coming up on 5 years. And all I know is I just wish this is going to be an epic battle. And I wish our network, Fox, would promote this, would tease this as GOAT versus phony GOAT.
No, they didn't come into that true.
Aaron Rodgers is even a phonier GOAT than LeBron is to Jordan. I can at least sort of stomach your LeBron case because at least he has won 4 championships, lost 6, but he's won 4.
Right.
Aaron's played in 1 championship game in his life, and it was 10 years ago, and he did win it. Give you that. So he's 1-0.
About to play another one in 2 weeks.
Okay, well, he may well do that because he is favored to win up on his frozen tundra. This has been his lifelong career dream. I want 1 championship game at Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
And all Devontae talks about every time he opens his mouth, he's talking about how the visiting team will not be able to open their mouths in the cold because it's so cold you can't even speak to each other.
Right.
Okay, so you got what you wanted. They are favored by around 4-ish points. I give you that. They should win this game. But at this moment, as we speak, I'm sorry, it is laughable and insulting to Tom Brady that we're even talking about this because think about what this man has just achieved. You could argue it's the greatest achievement of his GOAT career. All he did was get pushed out the back door in New England by the quote-unquote GOAT coach. That's way overrated, who just got exposed, Bill Belichick. And he said, I think I'll go to Tampa. And the NFL world said, you what? You're going to Tampa Bay, the Succaneers, who have the worst winning percentages of franchise in all of sports for their life.
But what did Pro Football Focus say about their receiving core?
Okay, but again,
that's what he
they
benefits
had
from.
2 Pro Bowl receivers last year, but with those 2 Pro Bowl receivers, they went 7-9.
Right.
And as a team, they led the NFL in giveaways, in turnovers, right?
Yes.
And they led the NFL in penalties.
Yes.
And Tom said, watch this. And he turned them into one of the more efficient offenses. And guess who has the best turnover differential in all of football as we speak right now? How about the Succaneers? Tom Brady just did that. He went down there, and I keep telling you, it took all year long, but he finally got it. He brought it to a boil right on schedule in December. He turned the Succaneers into the Patriots. He instilled and installed the Patriot way in Tampa Bay. And all of a sudden, they're starting to look Patriot-like as they go up to Lambeau Field to play in, you're kidding, the NFC Championship game? He did that. He's 43 years of age, and he lifted that franchise. He transformed that franchise from losers into winners. And are they a threat to win this game? You better believe they're a threat to win this game on both sides of the ball. And he taught all those receivers, you are going to have to sacrifice your Pro Bowls because they got no Pro Bowlers.
Right.
For us to get to the promised land, because the Super Bowl this year is in our building. It's at our stadium. No, it's never happened before that a home team played in a Super Bowl, and I'm sure that was the carrot that Brady dangled in front of all their noses all year long. We could be the first team ever to do this.
Right.
And they're right on schedule, and they got a shot. Your team is favored, and it should win. But when you step back from this, the only case you can make for Aaron Rodgers is he's the cooler thrower of the football. He's the flashier thrower. I don't think he's the better thrower of the football.
It's not even close.
Hey, it is because it's not close because Brady's a better thrower of the football.
Not a better thrower.
He throws a much more catchable pass. I think he's more accurate than Aaron Rodgers.
That's not what the numbers say, Skip.
He throws the prettiest pass I have ever seen, and he just keeps throwing it, and he has lost nothing at 40. He is 43 going on 23.
He is 43, Skip, and he had an unbelievable season. He played better than I thought he would. The guys bought into it. Mike Evans had to sacrifice. Goodwin had to sacrifice. There are a lot of sacrifices that need to be made in order for you to be a championship team. But that's not to take anything down. I want people to understand, just because you're sacrificed, that doesn't mean you can't be a Pro Bowl receiver and make it to the Super Bowl. Okay. This notion that you can't be that. Jerry went every year that every team he ever played on, he went to the Super Bowl. And he sacrificed nothing. Michael Irvin went every year they won the Super Bowl, he was in the Pro Bowl. So that doesn't necessarily mean you have to sacrifice. But you also have to understand is that sometimes we're going to have to run the ball, sometimes we have to throw it to someone else, and you have to be willing to understand that. So I get your point on that side.
But I get your point on Aaron is just cooler. Tom is not cool. You go crazy. It like turns your stomach to see some of his social posts because they're lame, they're nerdy, they're beneath his dignity. You're like, who's that? You can't be a franchise quarterback. You can't make a case you're the GOAT when you post the way you post those silly things on social media.
Skip, when you look at it, the guy he's the only quarterback, if I'm not mistaken, with 3 40 touchdown passing season, and he's never had double-digit interceptions in those seasons. Skip, that's ridiculous.
Okay, well, here's what's ridiculous to me. Aaron Rodgers has made it to 4 championship games, obviously all NFC since he's been in Green Bay.
Yes.
And go look at his QBRs in those 4 games. He won 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4? Wow. So in those 4 games, the only one he won was when Jay Cutler got stuck on the bicycle because he had, some sort of knee injury. I'm still not sure what it was, but it was badly sprained. I think it was like a grade 1 sprain. And he wound up the whole second half at Chicago because they had the home play, the NFC Championship game, riding the bike in the second half as Caleb Haney replaced him. And Aaron Rodgers almost coughed up that one, but managed to survive. And if you look at his QBRs for the 4 games, the next one was at Seattle. All of them have been on the road, obviously. At Seattle, at Atlanta, and then last year at San Francisco. His average QBR for those 4 games has been 58. Yeah. That's just a little above average because he's been mostly average in those games, and he's 1-3 in those games.
But if you look at his defense has been below average in those games. You look at the games that he's lost. You look at last year, San Francisco, how many points did his defense give up? If you look at the year they lost to Atlanta, how many points did his defense give up? Granted, Aaron Rodgers could have played a lot better in some of those ball games.
Last year at San Francisco, he had a QBR of 23 because he coughed it up. Twice on interceptions, once on a lost fumble.
Yeah, I mean, you see what happens when Brady's defense give up 30 points? They lose Super Bowls.
So Tom Brady in championship games, obviously in the AFC, is 9-4. If you just look at their overall playoff records, Aaron has that one road run to a Super Bowl, right?
Yes.
Won it with 4 straight wins, 3 on the road, 1 neutral site.
Right.
And including that, he's 11-8 in the playoffs. 11-8. Tom is 32-11 in the playoffs.
But let me ask you a question, Skip. Prior to this year, how many road playoff wins had Tom Brady had of those 32? Okay,
fair enough. But since that Super Bowl run, Aaron Rodgers is 7-7 in the postseason.
Right.
32-11. Again, he won a lot of games in the AFC East, so it gave him a lot more home games. But that's a 74% winning percentage. He's won 74% of his playoff games, while Aaron has won 58% of his playoff games. And you can talk defense all you want to me that Tom had the better defense, Tom had the better defense.
Did he not?
Did Tom have the better supporting cast on offense? Because I think you're seeing Bill Belichick get exposed right on schedule. It's what I've been trying to tell you for 5 years on this show.
So if you don't mind me asking, Skip, if you're saying defense doesn't really matter, Why do you?
No, I'll give you slight edges on defense, although over the last 3 or 4 years, that has started to decline.
Let me ask you a question. The greatest passing performance in postseason history, who has that?
Well,
Tom
Brady
Brady,
does.
And why didn't he win that game?
Because Belichick's defense gave up 41 points to the backup quarterback.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's why I said in the last 4 years, that started to go way south.
Yeah.
Because in that game, Belichick inexplicably, mysteriously didn't play Malcolm Butler the whole game, who had played the most snaps of any player on his defense, and I still don't know what happened, and I think Tom Brady will never forgive or forget that one.
Well, I think Aaron Rodgers' defense gave up 40 points to Atlanta in that championship game.
Okay.
Skip, this is what Aaron Rodgers, and you mentioned it, he's talked about this basically from the beginning of the season. Aaron Rodgers believes that had I had more NFC championship games at Lambeau, I would have more appearances than the Super Bowl. So now this is his opportunity. This is what he's talked about. Tom Brady got out of New England and says, I do not have the weapons, I do not have the people around me to get to and compete for Super Bowls. That's all I'm judged by. That's all I care to play. I don't care about stats. I don't care about 500-600 passing touchdowns. I don't care about 80,000 passing yards. Super Bowls is what drives this man. And he realized he did not have the talent. Coach Belichick could no longer shop for the grocery and give him a menu that could go out there and he would like. Okay. So he's like, I'm loading up. Like Jed Clamper did, Skip, he loaded up the truck and moved to Beverly Hills. He loaded up the truck and headed south. And he landed in Tampa. So there's a lot of pressure on Tom Brady as Aaron Rodgers because Tom Brady left Coach Belichick for one reason. It wasn't just to get away. It was to get away and win, to show I can win without you.
Okay, but Belichick clearly wanted to show I can win without him.
Yeah, they wanted to show they...
Okay, all right, yes. So I got that. But this is the only way I will ever compare Bill Belichick to Michael Jeffrey Jordan. They're similar in team building because Michael Jordan, I hate to even have to talk about this, but I always do, as a GM in Charlotte, he's proving to be the worst in the history of the league. They are an atrocity in team building.
I thought you were going to say they were the same in ruthlessness.
No, well, that I'll give you that.
Because they are pretty callous, Skip.
All right, but Belichick is getting more and more exposed as a team builder because he did give Tom Randy Moss for a minute.
Right.
He had him for a minute. It was really just the 2007 run because then Randy started to unravel right after that.
Right.
So I will give you that one. But after that, you start comparing help on offense. Well, look who Aaron has had. He's had, these are Pro Bowl receivers starting with our man Greg Jennings and Randall Cobb and Jordy Nelson and obviously Devontae over the last 4 years.
Skip, the thing that Coach Belichick, the reason why Coach Belichick doesn't get more criticism for his team building because what? He hit on Brady, he hit on Gronk.
Okay.
And you see what came out of that. You're talking about 6. So, Skip, I don't care what else happened.
Did he hit on Brady or luck into Brady in the 6th round? Do you think it was because of him? Was it his call? They say one of the scouts pushed for Tom Brady.
Skip, the way I look at it, I don't know if you play this, but I think the Powerball is about $850 million. Whether I pick the numbers or they give it to me by quick pick. If I get all 6 of those numbers, I'm going to pick that check up.
Okay.
So and Coach Belichick is saying...
He got all 6 of the numbers.
Exactly.
He did. He got all 6. And that man not only became the greatest quarterback to me, but he became the greatest leader. And he was able to rise above Belichick and allow Belichick to be completely, to me, out of control as a head coach because he got to coach however he wanted. If it was his way or the highway, and if he didn't like your act, he sent you packing because he could get away with it because he had the GOAT quarterback.
You're exactly right. Because if one time, if Brady would have ever bucked at anything Coach Belichick said or done, then you'd have had other guys doing it. But Skip, if that guy stays in line, as accomplished as he is, and as financially set as he is, as he stay in line, how can anybody else get out of line? You've heard guys say when they go try to get a contract with Coach Belichick, and the first thing he said, well, Brady makes this. We can't pay you more than Brady.
Okay.
So, all right. So if Brady would have said, I need $30 million to stay, then everybody else's salaries could have gone up.
Okay, but he didn't.
He did not.
Okay, so I'm back to my only point that I give you. If you want to talk about box office appeal, Aaron's got it. Because even I'm fascinated watching him because to me, from what I know about this game and about playing that position, He has the worst footwork of any quarterback I've ever watched, and it does not matter. It actually adds to his mystique because everything is off balance. It's like...
Yeah, it's unbelievable
the
the way you
release
throw the ball.
is so quick, but the footwork is horrendously bad. Nobody would teach it or coach it or allow it, except his arm talent is so supreme that he gets away with it. But in leadership, which is about, I'm going to say, a third of that position because it is the leadership position to me in all of sports, I will take Brady 100 times over 100 Aaron Rodgers.
I think this Aaron Rodgers over the last couple of years in leadership compared to the old Aaron Rodgers are totally different. And you're probably right, Skip. I just think the thing is now, I see a different Aaron Rodgers in terms of leadership.
Maybe he got a little humbled by two things. There was that huge Bleacher Report bombshell about his lack of leadership and how he was called out internally by the people at the top. And that he was even cut out of the hiring process for Matt LaFleur, that he was informed over the phone, hey, we have gone this direction. And the quote was in the piece, which was denied at the top, but it was, don't you be the problem going forward.
And what would he do, Skip? If somebody made a mistake, he would show them up. I see less of that now. That's something that the other guys, wouldn't.
That.
I see less of that now, Skip. I don't see that anymore.
All right, I'll buy that. I think he has realized that as he gets into his middle 30s and he's starting to think about 40, that all that really matters anymore is what has always mattered to the guy up in Foxborough, which is you got to figure out how to go win another Super Bowl.
See, the thing that happened to Brady, Skip, that doesn't happen to most, it happened to Mahomes, is that when you have that type of success early, you see, Rodgers had to wait a minute. First of all, he had to sit the bench for 3 years, and then it took him another 3 years to win the championship. Well, when you have the success that Brady had so early, only thing else matters. So what else is there, Skip? You've already climbed Kilimanjaro and Everest. In your first 4 years, you had 3 Super Bowls. So what the hell else is there to play for? Ain't no Pro Bowl, no All-Pro better than that.
You could play for stats. You could try to put up big numbers. You could try to throw 1 million touchdown passes and make your record unbreakable.
But here's the thing.
He doesn't care about that.
But he knows that the way they changed the game, the guys who Skip, you see guys that would have never thrown for 25 touchdowns in a season, throwing for 35, 40 touchdowns in a season. So he's like, the record that I know will be unbreakable, let me get 6, 7, 8, 9 of these things. Go get that.
Go get that. So what he did in the end was, after Randy Moss, he was stuck with what I used to tell you. It's like he went out before every game and pointed up in the stands, you 3 guys from Dorchester, just come on down here, and you'll be my receivers, because it was a lot of Edelmans and Amendolas and Hogans. And he won Super Bowls with those guys for a while until he finally said, you know what? Now that I am free, I'm 43, I think I'll go pick those 2 guys who made the Pro Bowl. And I'll see if Gronk will come out of retirement, come with me, because he's made a bunch of Pro Bowls. And Cameron Brayton is pretty good,
Yes.
And all of a sudden,
very good route running.
You talk Antonio. We don't know if Antonio's going to be able to play this time, but he's obviously a big-time receiver. You come on down.
Skip, maybe the only difference between Tom Brady 3, 4 years ago than now is that he needs a little more help to get the job done. Now, he just can't take those guys, as you say, from Dorchester. He can't take those guys and make them championship contender. He needs a Mike Evans. He needs a Godwin. He needs a Cameron Brate, where he was taking. Hell, I can't even name a lot of the tight ends in his early years in the Super Bowl. I think he had Daniel Graham, and he had
Christian Fourier.
And dude went to Duke. It slips my name. Ben Watson. He had Ben Watson.
Well, he had him last year. He had him at 39.
And I think, but his first Super Bowl, I think he had Andrew Wiggins. I don't know if people remember him, but Skip, he's done it with lesser tier. But as you age, you need more help. So he got that in Tampa. He knew, Skip, we would not be talking about Tom Brady today had he stayed in New England.
He is the ageless wonder. And I think he has slammed shut his GOAT case by what he just did in Tampa Bay.
If he had gotten New England, that roster, to the AFC Championship game, that would have been his crown of achievement, Skip. With that roster, with them tight ends, like you said, you can't even,
Matt LaCotte. Ryan Izzo.
The only Lacoste I know is Renee Lacoste, the Izod shirt. Yeah. That's the only Lacoste I know, Skip.
Except that's S-T-E. This is S-S.
It's S.
Okay.
So,
yes, thank you.
No mercy.
What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Sharpe. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
No mercy.
Warriors rallied from a 14-point fourth quarter deficit to beat the Lakers 115-113 last night. Steph Curry scored 8 of his game-high 26 points in the final frame. And while LeBron did have a chance to win the game in the final seconds, his late three missed the mark and Golden State escaped with their 7th win of the season. Meanwhile, the loss dropped the Lakers to 11-4, but all 4 of those losses have come at Staples Center. So, Shannon, who is most to blame for the Lakers blowing the lead last night?
Skip, you know I like to put wins and losses as a team's win or lose the ball game. But I got 2 top 5 players, and Anthony Davis and LeBron James can't let this happen on their watch. The Lakers turned the ball over 10 times in the second half and gave up 67 points. So in other words, what you did, you stopped defending and you started turning the basketball over. Golden State, they got back in the game. 2 huge runs, 17-2, 15-3 late in the fourth quarter. The Warriors in the fourth quarter had 10 assists, 0 turnovers. The Lakers had 0 assists and 4 turnovers. That's your ball game. They got careless with the basketball. Steve Kerr did something. He put Kelly Oubre on LeBron, and he picked him up 94 feet. Made him work. LeBron got fouled early, thought he got fouled. He didn't get the call, and he kind of got frustrated, and they kind of got him out of his game. And I thought he started to try to force some things. But when you have what I believe 2 top 5 players, this cannot happen. Golden State was really looking to pack it up. And the Steve Kerr about to call time and says, guys, okay, give me 2 or 3 minutes. And the 2 or 3 minutes, Skip, they got the game back within 8. It's like, well, hold on, wait a minute. We ain't going away. And the Lakers run away again. Steve Kerr called timeout. Give me 2 to 3 more minutes. So in other words, instead of just putting them away and giving them a reason to take Steph Curry out and put those backups in, the Lakers kept letting them hang around. And then before you know it, Skip, it's an 8-point, it's a 6-point, it's a 5, it's a 3. We tied. Now you're down 5 with a minute to go. And that's what happened. So you can't turn the ball over like the Lakers did. The starters had 12 of their 16 turnovers. That's unacceptable. AD and LeBron picked the wrong game to both not shoot the ball well from the floor. If I'm not mistaken, Skip, both were 6 of 16 from the floor.
They were.
That's not good enough. So if I have to put that out, I think it's the Lakers, but I'm going to put this one on LeBron and AD. They can't allow this to happen.
Okay. I'm going to remind everyone, I'm speaking in the context of what I hear from across the table on a daily basis. LeBron James, says Shannon Sharpe, is the GOAT. LeBron James is still the reigning best player on the planet, and obviously he is the reigning champion, the best player on the championship team from last year. Okay, so given that bar set that high, I got to tell you, I know it's early. We're 11 games in.
No, 15 games in.
I'm sorry, 15 games in. I was looking at the home record.
Oh, yeah.
The home record of the Lakers. We're 15 games in. Your man, LeBron James, has become an early season, fourth quarter disaster. And I don't know why, because he's never been this bad. But I will insist to you what I insisted before the year started. Your team still does not have a closer. Your team is really good and really powerful and fire powerful. And if it jumps out on you and buries you, you are mostly buried. But if you can hang in, hang on, and get this game down to the last 4 or 5 minutes close, you got a real shot, because the Lakers still don't have that guy who says, I got it, I'll close it. Just for the record, so far, through 15 games, LeBron James is shooting 36% from the floor in the fourth quarter. He's a 50% career shooter for 4 quarters from the floor. From 3 in the fourth quarter, he is 26%. Okay, so his field goal shooting ranks 203rd in the NBA in the fourth quarter, and his three-point shooting ranks 146th in the fourth quarter in the NBA. That's just not LeBron James. His free throw shooting has been pretty good. He's just on his career average. He's 71% free throws in the fourth quarter. And to his credit, I got to give him credit for this. When they were down 5 late, he did hit his 2 free throws to cut it back to 3. So I'm going to give you that. But now I'm going to give you what happened over the last 5 minutes of this game. And I'm going to show you LeBron's participation in this collapse. And it starts with 4:43 left, if we can roll the tape here. And this is the first three-point miss. He had made one early in the quarter. Not a bad shot, had a chance. And then that was a travel. He just
to shoot it.
Yeah. And
but he wanted KCP
Schroeder. He was
upset at KCP because he passed it to him and he was wide open and passed it up.
Okay, but he just sort of lost his mind, and then he did it again, and he just starts running with the ball, and that's his second turnover in the last 5 minutes. And then he took another 3 and hit nothing but backboard on that one. That's pathetic. And then here we go at the end of the game, and he tries that's a hard shot. I'm not going to dock him, critique him for that one, although Draymond, his business partner, didn't play the hardest defense because, Draymond would have been fine if he'd made it, fine if he didn't. But whatever.
No, he wouldn't have been fine.
Yeah, he would be fine. He walked off like, we got this. No, come on. Your heart's not in there. Your business partners. I don't
do that, Skip. Don't do that.
So here's the point. So over the last 5 minutes, LeBron James turned it over 3 times.
3 times.
And he missed 1, 2, 3.
Well, he only made 1 shot, so.
Yeah. Okay, so he missed 3 threes and turned it over 3 times in the last 5 minutes. You got to close. You got to do a little better than that. You got to clean up the 3 turnovers. To your point, if you just eliminated the 3 turnovers, you would have a much better chance.
Right.
One of them, he was mad at KCP. It also, Schroeder put him in a bad spot on the last shot because they tried to run a play and Schroeder had an edge and looked like, should I go ahead and drive this ball? And instead, he tried to kick it away, and Caruso got it, and they called timeout. So it left LeBron 1.7 seconds to shoot that last shot. So the point is, they're looking to LeBron to close, and he's not closing. So far, so bad. And just to frame this, that they have lost all 4 of their games so far are at home. They've lost 4 home games. Remember, they started out, they lost to the Clippers, and then they lost to Portland, and then they lost to Spurs, and they lost to Golden State. So is it possible that the team that lives in the basement is now starting to claim an own Staples Center? I don't know. That's what it's starting to feel like to me. Because would you believe LeBron has plummeted now to 17th in that all-important stat, PER, player efficiency rating? Guess who's 1 slot ahead of him at 16th? Playoff P. The most ridiculed man in all of basketball on the internet is Paul George. And he's now up to 16th in PER, and he's shooting career percentages from the field. He's 51% right now from 3. You believe in that?
Well, Skip, LeBron's going to turn the ball over because he has the ball in his hands, and he's trying a lot of cross-court passes, bounce passes from one side to the other. So, but the one to Schroeder, when Kelly Oubre Jr. is all over Schroeder, why would you be so careless with the basketball like that? And that's what we've seen. We've seen a lot of that. And plus, I need more from AD.
I'll buy that because once again, but just look at the fourth quarter. Remember, they lost at home the fourth quarter to Golden State.
Yes.
They lost 34-21.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they get. Yeah.
And where was our man Anthony Davis? Nowhere to be found. He scored 3 points, had 3 rebounds. I'm sorry, he had 5 rebounds, but he only scored 3 points. Well, usually he made 1 out of 2 shots. Well, usually you'd want him to shoot 5 or 6 shots, right? In the fourth quarter?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, look, Skip, what happened is that you let a team hang around. That's a team that you go ahead and bury, and you be done with it. There's no way LeBron James should have played 38 minutes last night. He's been averaging about 30 minutes over the last 4 or 5 games because they take care of business. He gets up out of town, but they dilly-dallied around, and here you are at 38 minutes.
Yep. So usually, like the Clippers did blow a lead in a game up at Golden State to Steph when Steph went out of his
Steph
mind.
Went crazy. Steph wasn't that crazy last night. He hit that one big three.
He made 3 of 12 threes last night. Oubre, who spent most of his energy on the other end, made 2 out of 8 because he's just been a disaster from 3 so far. Well, they shot 32% as a team from 3. Well, that won't beat anybody, especially on the road. But the Lakers shot 31% from 3.
And Skip, they crushed. They was plus 18 in rebounding. But you can't let Golden State shoot 50% from the floor with that small team.
Maybe LeBron and company just took the night off. They thought it was going to be a cakewalk night, a breather.
It was Dr. King's birthday.
Maybe.
It wasn't for them to. They didn't get the night off. Most people got. Government workers got the day off. NBA and entertainers did not get the day off.
Okay. You got a problem in the fourth quarter, and you better rectify.
We ain't got no problem.
Yeah, you do.
Let me ask you a question. Well, who was the closer last year? Because that was the same team. AD and LeBron closed last year. Who was the closer that's not there this year? Rondo? Was Rondo the closer?
Did they? Yes, he was, actually. Did they ever get pushed to the brink in fourth quarter?
Yes.
I remember LeBron last shot called for him again in Game 2 against Denver, and he froze.
The Nuggets in Game 5.
I guess AD was the closer.
The Nuggets in Game 5.
Yeah.
Was that pushed to the brink?
No, not really.
Don't do that, Skip.
Well, it wasn't pushed to the
brink.
brink.
Yes, it was. LeBron had to be spectacular in the fourth.
Okay. How about, was it Game 5 against the Heat in the finals?
Yes.
LeBron drove it. I'm like, just go to the free throw line, and he kicks it back to Danny Green, and he missed it. It was the Jimmy Butler game.
A wide open Danny Green? A wide open or a four shot over 4 guys. Is that what Danny Green? You told me that's what Danny Green was there for.
Well, he comes and he goes.
Well, you have no problem with him coming and going when he was knocking them down. When he hit like 24 in the finals against LeBron, you was all jumping up and down. You got your Spurs colors on today. You're black and gray.
Yep, but the one we're talking about, Ray Allen saved LeBron in that one. There's no Ray Allen to save you this time.
That's okay. We're going to save ourselves.
Okay.
Okay, well, it's good that they're getting out of Staples right now because they're about to start on a 7-game road trip. So maybe just, leaving home. And I think home court advantage just doesn't have the same appeal without the fans this season. So they're getting on the road. We'll see how they respond. Well, Patrick Mahomes is in concussion protocol after leaving in the third quarter of the Chiefs' playoff win. There is optimism that the reigning Super Bowl MVP could be able to play in the AFC Championship. Head coach Andy Reid even implied that his QB could have returned to the game this past Sunday under different circumstances, telling reporters, quote, there was a chance back in the day that Patrick comes back in the game. You saw him run up the tunnel. By the time he got to that point, he was feeling pretty good. But there's a certain protocol you have to follow, and that takes it out of the trainer's hand and the player's hand and the doctor's hand. So, Shannon, are you glad he wasn't able to return?
Yeah, and that is absolutely right, Skip. But we know more now than we knew 20 years ago, 30 years ago, hell, 10 years ago. We know more. We know concussions and repeated concussions have lasting and long-term effects. And billion-dollar lawsuits against any corporation will change the way you do business.
Yep.
The NFL, Skip, they used to put out these videos jacked up and you got smashed and all. They don't do that anymore because that was leading to it. And Skip, look, we know the players. We see guys have injuries and they take injections and they get out there and they go play. This is for an opportunity to get to the Super Bowl, and you see Aaron Donald on the field crying after the game because he's like, man, I don't know how many more opportunities I'm going to get like this, and here's an opportunity that's gone because I'm not 100%. In years past, Andy Reid is absolutely right, Skip. That game got close like it got. He came running right back down out the tunnel, and then put his butt in there. But the NFL says, we're going to, you know what? We're going to take it out of your hands because you're going to do in the best interest of the team. And the player says, you know what? The player's going to do what my guys need me, Skip. They counting on me. I got to be superhero for them. So the NFL says we're taking it out of the team's hands. We're taking it out of the player's hands. We getting independent doctors and neurologists on the sideline. And for most part, Skip, when a guy get dinged, he ain't coming back in the game. And when you see a guy get like that, get hit like he a boxer, and he's staggering, he has to be held, he shouldn't come back in the game. But he's absolutely right. You could have gotten days staggered like that in years past, 15 years ago, and they'd have put your butt right back in the game. I'm glad the NFL is doing what they can to take the players out of it because, Skip, you don't want to let your teammates down, especially in a moment like this. So I'm glad the NFL has adopted different protocols. I'm glad the team has no say in it. I'm glad the players, because, hell, Skip, they used to ask you back in the day, you see these two fingers, how many fingers I got? You have to go repeat what you said. You said you had them two. And I run back in the game. So it happens. I'm glad they did not allow Patrick Mahomes to take his butt back in this ball game.
And as Andy said, back in the day, not that long ago, it would have been pretty cut and dry if you can go back in the game, because we did see him run up the tunnel without assistance. He looked like he was, at that moment, fine.
Skip, on a Monday night game, I did a crackback on Chris Lade. I never forget it. I hit him with the crown of my helmet. I knocked both of us. I was out. We were winning the game. We was up by like 20 points, Skip. That thing got close. Guess who went back in the game in the fourth quarter? Me. Skip, we didn't know. I mean, we know, Skip, you got your bell rung. I didn't even hear the term concussion until I was damn near probably like 8, 9 years in the league. You got dinged. You got your bell rung. Skip, nobody used the term concussion. I never heard of no concussion. Oh, you got your bell rung. Oh, you seeing stars. Okay. Shake it, hey. Shake my head. Get the cobwebs out. Come out for a playoff, coach. I'm good. Go back in there. Not anymore.
So my first brush with this came back in 1979 when I was first covering the Dallas Cowboys, and the great Roger Staubach was told by his family doctor, not the team doctor, his family doctor, Roger, you got to stop. It's just too many. What was his nickname early in his career? Roger
the Dodger.
Okay. So he would run like a madman, and he was really good. He's a Heisman winner at Navy, obviously, and those first 5, 6 years, remember, he did a Vietnam tour, so he didn't start till he was 28.
Right.
So this was age 38, but he was like he was still 28. And they just told him, sorry, you need to stop.
Right.
Team doctor said, you're fine, let's go.
Of course.
And Roger said, for the sake of my children, my wife, I just have to stop. And it was a shocking announcement in Dallas-Fort Worth because he was it. He's still,
I think they had just lost it. Didn't they lose to the Falcons? I think they lost to the Falcons in the playoff that year, Skip. That was his final 179.
No, it was the Rams.
Right, okay.
They just lost to the Rams, and his final pass weirdly went to Herb Scott, which was his offensive guard. You know, that was his last completion. But we didn't know at that moment that was going to be his last completion. My point to you was, nobody had any idea then, except an independent doctor said, Roger, you just can't do that. You're going to have serious problems. Okay, so I got that. I'm all for brain safety. I'm about erring on the side of caution. But the problem with the new policy is it can also err on the side of the absurd, because you have to put every case in the same bin. You know, you have to throw them all in there and say you treat them all the same.
Right.
Well, they won't even tell you whether Patrick Mahomes actually was diagnosed with a concussion, because we don't know, and they don't care.
Well, Skip, I ain't no neurologist or neurosurgeon or anything. I know what he had.
Okay, do you? Because I don't, and I've been watching for a long time. I still don't see what happened to cause him to stagger.
But Skip, that's the thing, though, Skip. You might not have saw it.
Okay, remember, even our Jay Glazer reported soon after the game that there was some report out that he had some information out of Kansas City that he got choked out a la UFC, you know, where you lost oxygen supply because the linebacker has him around the throat for a second. To me, it didn't look like it was long enough to get choked out, but that it was an oxygen problem. And he does, if you see it, he falls on the football, which can, as you well know, it can knock that breath out of you and you feel like you're about to die for a second. You see him fall on the football here, and yet his head didn't hit the turf, and Andy said he was told that it was the blow to the back of the head that staggered him. I don't know. Again, I'm just shooting in the dark. I'm just guessing like you are. But the body language of the stagger, that's it.
But
now all bets are off.
Even if you don't know, that's one after you see that player does that, he can't come back in the game.
Obviously, this is a big game on Sunday. And it's sink or swim for the Chiefs. You told me yesterday, if there's no Patrick Mahomes, Buffalo's got a great shot at winning this game.
Buffalo winning the game.
Okay, so you say it's a done deal, Buffalo wins. So it's Sink or swim.
Yes.
Does Patrick pass or not through the concussion protocol? So just to remind everybody, because it's fairly new, there are 5 steps to this protocol.
Right.
They're complex. You know, the first one's just light stretching and balance training and very light aerobic exercise. And then if you have to be passed through that step, and then you graduate to more serious cardiovascular exercise. You do more balance tests. And remember, they've already taken your baseline scores before the year starts, your neurological baseline scores. So you have to pass that your tests are showing you're back at your baseline. That's just stage 2 of this. Then you go to stage 3, and it's a limited amount of football-specific exercise. And then if you pass, you go to stage 4. It's another big round of tests and non-contact football drills.
Right.
Okay? And then if you pass to stage 5, guess what has to happen? You've got what's called now the INC, Independent Neurological Consultant. Well, this is huge because somebody not affiliated with the Kansas City Chiefs, somebody agreed upon by the Players Association and the National Football League, completely independent. Maybe it's a doctor from California.
He ain't completely independent. You'd have to get somebody that's not affiliated with either to come in and evaluate it because somebody paying that salary.
Okay, but again, it's somebody they've agreed upon who is probably not that familiar with the Chiefs. He's going to come in from the outside in. I assume you're going to have to fly him to Kansas City for the final sign-off.
He might not be familiar with Kansas City, but I guarantee you he know the AFC Championship game going on. And he know who Patrick Mahomes is.
Well, now you're sort of talking out of the other side of your mouth.
But I'm just saying, Skip, I understand it's independent.
Is this guy a football fan or not? Because I am. You're obviously an ex-star, but a fan.
Yeah.
And do we want to see Patrick be allowed to play? Yes, we do. Because we did get to see him run up the tunnel. For what that's worth, he did bounce back fast enough. He ran up the tunnel. He did bounce back fast enough that Andy Reid said prior to this kind of protocol, he said, I'm pretty sure we would have put him back in the game because he seemed fine.
Yes.
Okay. Does that mean he was fine? No, it does not.
No.
Okay.
So, I used to do, I was one of the first ones when they came out with the baseline test where you would test before just in case you got a concussion.
Yep.
I did better after I got the concussion than I did before in the regular season, without anything, Skip.
Well, maybe it smartened you up a little bit. I don't know.
Maybe so.
Maybe it knocked
because what you do, Skip, is that they make you do things with your left hand. You have to do, they put you on the clock and you do things like that. You put in the different holes and locations. But Skip, after seeing Patrick Mahomes, Skip, you knew he wasn't going to be able to come back, especially in like you said, during today's protocols.
Yep. Okay.
But what did the guy say, man? I can't, Skip. You don't want to let your teammates down. They counting on you, and you're like, man, I got to get back out there.
Okay. So the average quarterback over the last 4 years has been able to return within 7 days. That's been the average sort of baseline of their return.
Right.
Does that mean he would be cleared? I don't know.
I tell you what, if I'm a Buffalo, I ain't worried about no quarterback sneaks. He ain't quarterback sneaking, Skip.
Well, I wouldn't be worried about any more option plays.
No option.
He might scramble on his own, but nope, they're not going to call any more runs.
Unless it's 4th and 1 with the game on the line.
Yep.
And you dive over from the one, Patrick Mahomes is not going head first into anything.
So, fortunately for Patrick Mahomes, he doesn't have an NFL history of concussions.
Correct.
There's no cumulative buildup yet.
Right.
He did have one it was reported at Texas Tech, 2014. He was yanked from a game because he was woozy, and they had a bye week, so he got a break, and he came back on schedule to play the next game.
Right.
So that's the only sort of reported concussion in his whole history.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I had one in the AFC Championship game, one of the few times. I think I've had 3 where, Skip, I've gotten completely knocked out. Well, you don't remember anything. You don't remember coming to the game. You don't remember how you got to the game. I just remember looking up at the score because when it happened, I remember just like yesterday, Skip ran a seam. It was 3 deep, cover 1. I'm like, I know John ain't going to throw this ball. John throwing this ball. I got to get on my horses because this guy going to pick it. And boom, Skip, I'm out. So we behind now. When this happens, we're behind. It's about 3 minutes left in the game, and I'm looking up at the clock. I'm like, how did we get the lead? And if we win this game, what happened? Ron Smith standing right to me. He's like, fool, we going to the Super Bowl. In the locker room, you go look at NFL film. Mike asked me, do you remember what happened? Nope, but I know we going to the Super Bowl. It's one of those, it's a funny feeling, Skip. It's just like you sleep and you wake up and you don't remember anything. You ever had a dream, Skip? I mean, you go to bed, you don't remember anything that happened that you dreamt about? That's what it's like. But like you said, I had 2 weeks in between that game, the championship game, and the Super Bowl.
You did.
I was fine. But I knew when Patrick Mahomes got up, he tried to get up, Skip, and that equilibrium was off. Go ahead and shut him down. Go ahead and shut him down, Skip. It's okay. That way we got a chance. We got the hen dog. Anything is possible with hen dog.
Anything is possible on any given Sunday, as they say.
And Tony Romo, I remember back and listen to the audio. Tony Romo said, they're not going to snap it. They're trying to get him to jump offside. Oh, he snapped it.
He snapped it.
I knew Andy Reid. I said, they run a spread option. They run a spread option.
Well, you know what? We might not get a verdict on this one. That kickoff is at 6:40 Eastern time on Sunday. It might go right up to kickoff.
How would you want to bet Patrick Mahomes plays?
Well, now you're talking out of the other side of
No,
your
I'm just saying he's going to play, Skip.
Right.
With a week, he's going to play. Now, it's not a Thursday night. Maybe if it was a Thursday game, Skip. But did they really diagnose him? Like you said, they didn't say it would. They keep adding, well, it was his knee.
I keep talking about this, but it wasn't like the shot that my guy Andy Dalton took at Washington from John Bostic.
Because, Skip, we're trying to figure, did he get hit in the back of his head? Did he get hit in the side of his head? Did his head hit?
No.
No, he got hit face on by John Bostic. Boom. We knew what happened. We saw it. Yes.
And it cost him a game.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We can see that. We still like, well, damn, I didn't even see him get hit to the head.
Yep.
It's just hard. Concussions affect everyone differently.
They do.
I mean, I've seen teammates along the year. I mean, you never know. So the protocol's in place for his safety. We hope he's well. And, of course, we hope he's back. But we want him to be well.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
No mercy.
The Nets beat the Bucs 125-123 in a thriller yesterday, with newcomer James Harden scoring 34 points for Brooklyn. Kevin Durant added 30 points of his own, including the go-ahead three with less than a minute left in the game. All this came without, again, Kyrie Irving, who missed his 7th straight game for Brooklyn. So, Shannon, how much of a problem will it be fitting Kyrie in with Durant and Harden when he does return?
Skip, I think it's going to be extremely difficult. I really do. I never doubted that two great players can play together, especially when one's a big and the other's a small. I never doubted that for 1 second. It's that when you throw that third component in there, when you throw a third component in there, Skip, somebody is going to have to sacrifice major shots, major points. We saw it with Chris Bosh when he went with the big three down with D. Wade and LeBron. We saw it with Kevin Love when he joined with Kyrie. Now, we look at Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is very different than Kyrie. Klay Thompson doesn't need the ball. Klay Thompson is a catch-and-shoot guy. So he can run. He's going to run around and boom, let you have it. Kyrie, in order for you to get the best out of Kyrie, he needs the ball. But if you give him the ball, you're going to take it away from James Harden and KD. James Harden is a better point guard than Kyrie, because James Harden has led this league in assists. James Harden is typically around 8-9 assists a game since he's been in Houston. I don't know how this thing is going to work, Skip. I really don't. That's my concern. I'm not worried about James and KD. James and KD looks better than Kyrie and KD, and we thought Kyrie and KD looked spectacular in the little bit that we saw them. They look like this. And James Harden, I don't know if he had a fat suit on. I don't know what happened. He was pounding, Skip, but look here. The one thing we always knew about James Harden, he could put the ball in the hoop. And it seems to be now he's rejuvenated, like, man, I really got a chance to get to an NBA Finals. Oh, let me show you what I can do. Skip, he's been spectacular since he's been there. And that's why I said the last 4 games of Houston, James Harden was bull jiving. Because we all know what James Harden could do, Skip. James Harden, when does James Harden not like to shoot the ball? And now all of a sudden he want to shoot the ball 10 times a game and he good. Nah, bro. But Skip, that's my concern. Kyrie comes back. Now what is Kyrie going to be? What's he going to do? And also defensively, Kyrie's going to make them even smaller. Now, they're 15th rated defensive team. Now, it's going to be a struggle for them stopping, but they can light you up. They're probably going to have to win games like they won them last night, Skip. Somewhere between 120 and 140. The question is, are the teams going to be able to get to those numbers? But this game going back and forth last night was unbelievable. I want to know one more thing, Skip, before I turn it over to you. Why Giannis only got the 1 shot in the last 6 minutes of the game?
Don't know. Maybe because he didn't have much of a repertoire to create his own shots, right?
Yep.
I'm going to give you this. Kyrie's return could cause a big problem. But if I am Steve Nash or Mike D'Antoni, the coaches of this team, that would be the kind of problem I would welcome.
Oh, you want them problems, huh?
Because too much talent, I can live with that. I can try to figure that one out. Not enough talent? No, sorry, can't figure that one out. I can't fix that one if I'm a coach. So this much has come clear to me so far. Our man Chris Broussard the other day was exactly on point with this and ahead of this curve. And I had not, I'll be the first to admit, thought about this because it seemed that it would fall into 1, 2, 3. Right. Kyrie the 1, James the 2, and Kevin the 3, 4, 5.
Right.
Right? No, Chris said, have you thought about this? Maybe James is the point guard. James is a really, really good point guard.
Yeah.
And it was significant to me that last night after the game, he said on TNT in the interview, you probably don't listen to the sound, but he said, I'm having to work on my point guard skills now. Oh, bingo.
Right.
So you are the point guard. Well, all he is averaging 11 assists so far. That's including the time in Houston.
Right.
This year he's averaged 11 assists. For some weird reason, he hasn't quite qualified to be the assist leader, but nobody is averaging 11 assists. He could, once he's done it before, he's led the league in assists. He's got another shot to do it this year. In fact, I think he will lead this league in assists, right? He also has led this league in steals, but that's another issue because on defense, he is a disruptor.
Right.
So they're playing better defense than you might think because they disrupt.
He's not the typical what we would call an on-ball defender.
Not on ball.
But he's going to steal, he's going to get in lanes and deflect and get the steal.
And the other great thing about James Harden is, despite his overweight, despite the look, with the beard, he looks older than he is. That's just me. Makes him look old manish to me. But he plays his tail off. I got to tell you, he does. Because, remember, he was 3rd last year in loose balls recovered. So you got to be playing with some energy, man, as they always talk about. We didn't have enough energy.
He played 41 minutes last night.
He loves to play. So if we could see the shot of shots last night made by the best player on the planet, Kevin Durant, what happened before the shot of shots? Watch what happens. Okay, so James gets the shot and he misses it. Guess who went and got the rebound? James, and he dishes it right to the best player on the planet, Mr. Clutch, 2-time Finals MVP, nothing but nets, because the NBA has turned into nothing but nets. So the point is, look at James go retrieve his own rebound. There are 5 Bucs standing around, and remember, he's having to deal all night with Drew Holiday, he's a really good perimeter defender. Yeah. And James is just toying with him. I'm sorry, you can't stop him.
No, Skip. You just got to load up on him.
You just got, because when he feels like it, it's just da-da-da-da-da. I'm in the lane.
Yeah. He's going to dribble on you.
Okay.
Then you got to worry about his step back. Then you got to worry about him getting the floater.
But he started off the game, he drove it, and just with his right hand, he acted like he was ambidextrous, which I think he is, and he just laid it up off the glass with the right hand. It looked so routine and normal, and I'm like, he's left-handed. Okay, so the point is, they got that going, and Kevin is going to be fine no matter what the situation is because he just plays. It's just like, give me a few touches, and I'll get you 30.
Skip, the dude, I mean, you see him, I mean, he gets like 2 dribbles, and he just pulls up. I mean, Chris Middleton's not a bad defender.
No.
But you just can't block a guy that's shooting the ball at 10, 11 feet.
He's 7 feet tall.
Yes.
And he's long.
Yes. And he ain't shooting. I mean, and he's leaping a little bit. So, I mean, there's nothing you can do. He gets to his spot. There's nothing. You just, hey, coach, I hope he miss it.
Okay.
That's all you got.
So far, I know it's really early, but Kevin Durant is shooting a career-high 54% from the floor and a career-high 48% from three. That's hard to deal with, okay? So the only thing, the big advantage that I see for Steve Nash is that Kevin and Kyrie are best friends. James and Kevin from the Oklahoma City days are very close friends. Maybe not quite as close as Kyrie and Kevin, but at least you're not throwing in players who don't really know each other.
Well, the thing is, Skip, is that James Harden did have 3 years of playing with Kevin Durant. Now, they were very different players back then, but he understands KD's game. He understands where KD wants the ball, where he needs the ball. And like I said, James has never played with a player like this. Yeah, he's played with some great players. Chris Paul's a great player. Dwight Howard back then, but not like this. You're talking about this is a generational talent. This is transcendent here. And so he's playing with somebody that he clearly believes that he knows this guy is my equal, if not better than me. This is the first time that James Harden can say that since he's been the James Harden, the beard as we know him. Skip.
I agree.
This is the first time he can honestly say, this dude is on par with me or better than I am.
Okay. Kyrie is going to have to look in the mirror and say, this dude, our new point guard, he's the third best player. He's going to have to look in the mirror and say, I'm not as good as James Harden. So help me out here. Does this not give the organization some new leverage on Kyrie?
Yes.
Because if you don't like it.
They didn't want to bring it back because, you know, they didn't want to run the risk of injury. Hell, James Harden missed no burden for 2 weeks and played 48 minutes. He played 38 minutes on the Saturday, I think.
It's hard, man.
Yeah. So
he's a baller. He just wants to play ball.
Sometimes, Skip, you just have to accept your role. I understand you were a great player, Skip. It's like when I went to Baltimore. I understood what I had accomplished in Denver, but I was a different Shannon at that point in time.
Yep. Okay.
Kyrie, at this point in time, you got 2 players on that roster that are better than you.
That is
and you're going to have to take, you're going to have to take less shots because the ultimate goal is about winning a title. Now, if you think you're going, I don't see a scenario, Skip, where he's getting 25 and these 2 guys are doing what they're doing. But not if you want to win.
Could Kyrie average 20 a game? I still think he could.
Yeah.
I think he could.
But he's going to have to accept that role, Skip.
I agree. And he's going to have to play off the ball. I think they need to let James dribble the ball up and initiate.
Yes.
He'll be fine with that.
He's going to have to change, Skip. He's going to have to change his whole game. He's going to have to. He's going to have to almost be like a Klay Thompson.
Catch and shoot. You can ISO for him.
Yeah.
You can let him wheel and deal on somebody. You can let him dance if he wants to on somebody. But it's going to have to be on occasion, on an isolation that's called for him. Yeah,
because you look at Skip. Kevin Love was a 24-14.
Yep.
And he goes all the way down to like 17-9, 17-10. Chris Bosh was a 2010 guy.
No, but it's funny to me. You're comparing Kyrie Irving to Kevin Love and Chris Bosh.
No, I'm saying you look at what they were before.
I got it.
What they had to become.
Okay, I got it.
Is he willing to do that? Do you believe he's willing to accept a role where he's the third guy? You don't see
deep down, I think he will, but I don't know for sure because he's about as unpredictable as any star in sports.
Yeah.
Like we don't have anybody less predictable than Kyrie Irving.
Right.
What do you call him, Kanye Irving?
Yeah.
I got it. If he does go south, they have the leverage because they can say, stay south. We're not going to crawl to you. You know, if you don't want to play, we're okay.
So you're going to move him. You're going to move him. So you're going to put them problems off on somebody else.
You could if you get forced.
But what about it? Skip, you do realize that they got TVs too. They watching Kyrie do this stuff.
Okay.
So you want me to take on your problem.
Okay, but in the end, I think Kyrie is really smart, intellectually smart.
Yeah.
And I think he will come to grips with the fact he has a chance to have a great ride here with two guys he likes to play with in a situation that's going to be a lot of fun to be involved in.
Yep.
That could be dynastic.
Yeah.
You could, conceivably, you could win 2 or 3 in a row.
Oh, easy.
Good.
Easy.
Okay?
Easy. Yeah, you could.
But you're going to have to buy.
Yeah, can you imagine once the fans get back and the opportunity to see these guys?
Yep.
Even if it's just James and KD. Because, Skip, I just believe, like I said, James and KD, plenty good enough.
Okay. Look, I love watching LeBron and AD. It's can't miss. I'm going to watch every dribble But these guys, all of a sudden, I got another must-see over here.
Now, can you imagine when these two teams meet? Can you imagine if they were actually fans at Staples or wherever they play, Barclays? Can you imagine? Can you imagine the build-up for that, Skip?
I think it's mid-February at Staples, but they're obviously no fans.
Now, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. In our mind, there's fans. In our mind, this is a championship, and we're going to treat it as
well,
such.
You've already lost 4 home
It don't
games.
matter.
4 home
We ain't lost to them. We didn't lose to them.
Maybe because you got your eyes on the basement, because you hear those guys down below. They're making a lot of noise.
That's all they do is making noise. Ain't doing nothing. Ain't doing nothing.
I just picture Shannon, like, lurking at Staples, like, always there supporting his team, just finding a way to be there.
LeBron will get you in there and get you a seat.
I know, the visual of Shannon in the front row.
No mercy.
We're 6 days away from the NFC Championship on Fox, and after the Bucs' big win against the Saints this past Sunday, linebacker Devin White told reporters that the secret to Tampa's success has been in the playoffs. Take a listen.
Everybody always asks what was our identity. And, you know, we didn't have an answer. But Coach B.A., he had an answer. He said, we're going to find a way to win the game.
Good energy. Shannon, what does this tell you?
Nothing but that.
Nothing?
Skip, they don't tell me much. Skip, they sound like a team that's won a bunch of championships.
They do?
They find a way to win. Skip, they beat a 7-9 team, and they just beat a team that had beaten them twice. The quarterback's on the last legs, and they got 4 turnovers. Stop this notion, Skip. I mean,
what's the notion?
All of a sudden now everybody tell we find a way to win. Really? Really? And where was that? So where was this bravado when they went through that losing streak? I ain't hear nothing about we tough mofos that find ways to win. I ain't hear nothing. Now all of a sudden, B.A. was blaming Tom Brady. Said guys are open. He don't play like in practice. He doesn't miss a throw. And in the games, he can't find a throw. But now we letting Brady coach. Everybody has something to say. You start winning a few games. What about humility, Skip? I'm a guy. How big is humility?
You?
Yeah, me.
You?
A little bit. But I don't like Skip. Now, you know they gloating over here. They win up.
Who was the biggest gloating trash talker maybe in the history of professional football?
That was big.
Guy,
that was then. We're talking about now.
Okay. Yeah. Now you're humble and mellow and quiet-spoken.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Skip, I get it. You won a game. But, Skip, what did he need to tell you? Here's a team that had beaten you twice within your division, and the last time you played them, they embarrassed you. Skip, I didn't need any motivation. Mike didn't need to get us ready. We understood what Kansas City playing them in the playoffs. Pittsburgh really embarrassed. They beat us like 45-21. So we're going back there for the NFC Championship game. Mike didn't have to tell us, hey, guys, we already knew. If we don't play our best game, they can embarrass us again. So that's all I'm saying, Skip. Just calm down. Calm down. You've won nothing yet. And all of a sudden, we some tough guys. Yeah, you got a good team. But I just need you to pump the brakes just a tad.
Okay, we both agree. Devin Smith is really good.
Devin White.
Devin White. Really good.
Yes.
And arriving.
Yes.
As a star. Hasn't arrived yet. Need to see a little more Sunday. Maybe even a little more a couple of weeks after Sunday. But he's only in his second year, so if you like, you can dismiss this as just the classic youthful exuberance, if that's what you want to do. He's just full of himself because they just forced 4 turnovers from Drew Brees at New Orleans and gotten even with a team that had flat out owned them. I'm not going to dismiss it. I still say, you can scoff if you want, this is still the Tom Brady effect on this team. That he has created a new culture and a new confidence in that locker room. And it's based on being a bad you-know-what when it's time to be that.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to remind everybody, I think the NFL world is in part missing the boat here on what just happened. Last year, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers gave the ball away at really an historic rate, but it was the #1 rate in the National Football League.
Yeah.
No team gave the ball away as many times as it was obviously Jameis's Buccaneers. No disrespect to Jameis, because I still like him and I still think he's got a future.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be surprised if he's the starting
But he did throw 30 picks.
He threw 30 picks and he lost 5 fumbles. And they gave it away 41 total times. 41. Whew. Guess what? This year, this team led the whole National Football League in takeaways. So they flipped the script around where this defense came of age right before your very eyes. Again, it got torched too often with the pass, but it also took the ball away at a high, supreme rate because they led the whole league in takeaways. Turnover differential is, in the end, you've won a bunch of Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Doesn't it usually tell the tale?
Yeah. If you take it away more than you give it away, you're probably going to win.
The Bucs, led by Tom Brady now, are plus 12 in turnovers. That leads the whole league in turnover and differential. Okay, so what's happening?
He doesn't give it away and they taking it away.
Thank you. So all of a sudden, that's some bad you-know-whats because they come after you on defense. They're going to give up some big plays, but they come after you. Those 2 linebackers, I don't know if those 2 inside backers, I don't know if there are 2 better ones of those 2. One's an old head and one's a young head, but together they wreak some havoc. And Devin White is their best pass rusher also. And he can drop into coverage, as we saw, and he'll just snatch it.
Yeah, he got very good hands for a backer.
He looks like a tight end. You know, he looked like maybe a young Shannon Sharpe.
Yeah, but the one that pick on Cromartie running up the seam.
Yeah.
There are not very many guys. A lot of guys would have knocked it down. Skip.
They would have knocked it down.
Or they would have probably like, oh, I almost had it. But he plucked it as if Drew was throwing it to him.
He did.
Wasn't a whole lot on it, Skip. So you told that's a very catchable ball.
Okay, I'll buy that. But then when he plucked it, he said, I'm going to go with it.
He's like, I'm going home. Like, y'all meet me in the end zone.
And that poor receiver got in his way. He didn't just sniff-armed him. He just smacked him out of the way.
Like Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Like Derrick Henry be doing.
Yeah, okay. So my point to you is this franchise, this team last year led the whole league in penalties also. Now, they've improved it. They were dead last. Now they've moved it all the way up to 13th in penalties. Well, so that was a big jump.
Well, then, Skip, think about it. Okay, if you go from dead last to penalties to middle of the pack, that's probably an extra, say, 10, 15 first downs, because some of those happens and they put you farther behind the sticks than what you needed to be. Okay, you cut down the interception. Let's just say you had 15. I think Tom had, 12? So he basically cut that in half. You see the difference? That's all Jameis had to do.
Yep. Okay, so, yeah, the giveaways were a total of 17. Last year, they gave it away 41 times. This year, only 17 times.
So
that even counts the 2 playoff games.
Right.
17 to 41.
Right.
Really? Okay. What do you think's going to happen? Yeah. Good things are going to happen.
I'm surprised they won that many games with that many turnovers.
Okay.
With that many turnovers, you normally 3-13, 4-12, not 7-9.
7-9 because they had talent on offense.
Yes.
They had 2 receivers who could score touchdowns.
And what helps your defense, Skip, if they're not constantly on the field, you go in 3 and out, you go in 3 and out. Think about how many extra possessions they had to play because of those 41 turnovers.
Okay. So what do I always tell you about Brady? He's in the weirdest off-the-field package. He looks like some dad next door down the street. He's posting lame, nerdy social posts, and your stomach is turning.
What did Brady do?
But when he gets on the football field, there's this alter ego that I call Psycho Tom, and it comes out. And he gets angry, and he doesn't blame deflect. He just calls them on the carpet. When they false start, when that backup guard who's in there false starts, that Aaron Stinney, he's going to read him a quick little riot act right there on national TV. Right. And Aaron Stinney didn't false start the rest of the game. They'll listen to him because he's got cachet. He is the GOAT.
Yes.
And Bruce Arians said last week, I'll tell him something. Do this, do that. They don't even listen to me. Tom says the same thing to him, and they say, I got you. He's the GOAT.
Yeah.
So he's instilling this new mindset of we're some bad you-know-whats. And we're going to go out there, and we're going to take it away, and we're not going to give it away.
Right.
And we're going to run it, and we're going to throw it. And and we're going to play some smash mouth defense because Todd Bowles is right there at the top. You can put him, to me, in the top 3/4. I know he's not quite a Belichick, but listen, he is really good at that.
He does.
And I wouldn't mind seeing him. He's interviewing, I think, with Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Okay, for their
he got some players.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at what he has at on the front seven. He got some players that can make plays. Now his back end leaves a little bit to be desired.
It does, but
they put so much pressure on you, Skip.
Hey, Antoine Winfield. Again, Arians made the point yesterday. He's Bruce's Defensive Player of the Year. Obviously, Chase Young had 7.5 sacks, and he was
Pro Bowl, made the Pro Bowl.
Made the Pro Bowl, and he's what was his second
number
overall
two overall pick.
Okay, so you got all that riding on your behalf.
Right.
But if you watch closely what Antoine Winfield does,
he makes plays.
He makes plays, and he has taken over the back end. He's become the leader of the back end of that defense. And Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis are getting a little bit. They're still young, and they're getting a little better and a little better. And all of a sudden, Mike Edwards is picking the ball off.
What the thing is that if you watch them, Skip, the thing that happens is that when you're favored to win a game and the game is late and you're losing, guys start to speed up their routes. And they start to like running the routes instead of being flat, they go up the field. Jamel Dean is long.
He is.
So that's why people
he can run.
Right, and that's why people like long corners, because you have to be more perfect.
Yep.
So now guys are all of a sudden fading up the field, and now guys are getting their hand in there. What would have been a completion is now incomplete.
Okay.
And they started to feed. They started to feel like, hold on, man, y'all can't even get away from us. You can't run the slant. Drew can't throw it outside. I'm not letting you inside. So now what are you going to do? I ain't worried about you throwing it on my head.
And Mike Thomas wound up catching 0.
Because
Mike Thomas?
Guess what they played him for? Slants. They said, we're going to take the slant away. Now what you going to run?
Okay, so here we go with the defense that has taken away 30 times, leading the league, going to Lambeau. They know that back in October, it was summertime still in Tampa, that Aaron Rodgers came to their place and he gave it away to them twice. Twice in a row, fairly early in the game. They're down 10-0. All of a sudden, here they came and they won 38-10. So they know they took it away from who is the most careful with the football in the league. It's Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going big. I see big.
Big what?
I see big win.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I might be willing to give some points on this one, too.
Really? Well, let's just do it right now. I'm ready.
I'll give you the line. I go on the point line.
I'll take 7.
No, I give you the line. The line is 3, right?
Well, I thought it was going to be 7, so I'll take 7.
No. You can't make you ain't Fox, man. You just can't make up your own line.
I just made up a line. I'll take 7.
Yeah, I know.
Wait a second.
You made up a line.
The words just came right out of your mouth. I see big.
That means big.
Well, big is much bigger than 4.
No. I ain't gonna give you no due on it, but I'm predicting that they're gonna win by 7 or 10.
Okay. Well,
Nope.
Why not?
Nope.
Put your due where your
I don't
mouth
want to
is.
jinx like I would do you like you do me. I don't want to jinx it.
You can't jinx the GOAT.
Yeah, y'all know. No, the GOAT play it. He in Green Bay. He gonna have on green and gold.
Well, that's a different GOAT. Shannon's GOAT versus Skip's GOAT.
No mercy.
Well, Rodgers is on the verge of winning his 3rd MVP award. Brady had as good a season as anyone could have expected in his first year in Tampa. His 40 touchdown passes in the Bucs' no risk it, no biscuit offense were the most he's thrown since his monster 50 touchdown year in New England back in 2007. We're now joined by former All-Pro cornerback Antonio Cromartie. Obviously, Antonio, you've had plenty of experience going up against Tom. So how much have Brady's skills diminished at age 43?
I don't think you see anything diminished from Tom Brady. I think when you look at the way he's played in this offense compared to other years, he's thrown a deep ball a lot more. But him taking the throws and doing the thing he needs to do, making his reads, having the velocity on the ball, I don't see where there is any diminish in the 43-year-old Tom Brady. I think he's still playing at a very high level, passed for over 4,000 yards this year, so 40 touchdowns. And you know, it just seems like he's gotten better with age as he's gone on in his career.
Did you hear that?
I did. Crow, I'll be the first to admit, Tom Brady played better than I thought he would. I had him at somewhere between 28 and 32 touchdowns, around 4,000 yards. He was well over 4,000 yards, and he was well over 32 touchdowns, and that was my high end. I think the thing that I see, Tom Brady is more mind than body. In other words, he beats a lot of people with his minds because he's going to he's like, okay, you going to lock my receivers up? I ain't going to beat my head, try to throw the ball at them and force it so you can pick it. Leonard Fournette, come here. Leonard Fournette might have 5 catches the entire season. He had 5 catches in the divisional round. He's like, oh, Scotty, hey, Scotty, I know we would put you on the bench when we got AB, but I'm going to need you to run this out and up on Jackrabbit because he's going to be squatting thinking you're going to run this out and he's going to take it to the house. What'd he do? Out and up, boom. I think the thing is for me, Skip, when I look at Tom, the difference between Tom at 43 and, say, Tom at 33 to 38, 39 is that he could actually just put a team on his back, no matter the talent, and get him across the finish line. Now he needs help, and that's okay. Most people, as we start to get older, we need a little help to do things that we normally could do on our own. That's not a knock. Eventually, you see, even Drew, the help he had, it wasn't enough when your body starts to deteriorate. His arm is livelier than I thought it would be, especially at this time of the year. He played better than I thought he would, coming into a new system. So for me, he shocked me. And I'm not the only one that he shocked, so I'll give him credit, Skip. He played 92% better than I thought he would.
Really?
Yeah.
That, by your standards, that's a big admission.
Hey, Crow, I gave 92% better.
Hey, he still got an A, though. He still got an A.
Yeah, he got an A for that one.
Okay.
But he's been good.
You just said from about 32 on to 43, he needed more help because something was diminished. You saw some deterioration of what? Because I can't see the what you're seeing.
I'm seeing that Tom Brady, do you believe Tom Brady could have taken the roster that he had this year in New England? Do you believe he could have got it to the AFC Championship game?
No, but Aaron Rodgers could not have
But
either.
that's my point. My point is Tom Brady, think about what Tom Brady did just the year before. He took that roster, Skip, basically to the AFC Championship game. He took a very similar offensive roster to the Super Bowl and beat the Rams. So that's what I'm saying, Skip. He needs a little more help than what he needed in the past.
Okay. So somebody on this show predicted that Tom Brady this year at Tampa Bay would throw 40 touchdown passes, and he hit that mark right on the nose.
You lucked up.
I lucked up on that one, but somebody else on this show, sitting across from me, has said routinely for 4 years on this show, actually going on 5, it's time for Tom to shut it down and go home and give it up and retire. No. But he's, to me, I'm looking at 43 like it's 23 because I'm with Crow. I don't see any difference.
I think the thing is, Skip, is that, look, I saw the writing on the wall coming to the end in New England. My thing was, is Tom really good? Skip, when you somewhere for so long and you've been so comfortable, could you see, if somebody would have told you 5 years ago, Tom Brady's not going to end his career in New England, he's going to wear another uniform, nobody would have believed it.
I wouldn't have.
Because, Skip, you could, to visualize Tom Brady in a uniform other than New England. We talked about it, Joe Namath, seeing Joe Namath in the Rams, or we seeing Johnny Unitas in the Chargers. But we see Tom, and even though it's strange at first, now you're like, well, hell, look like Tom been playing for Tampa Bay for like 3 or 4 years.
Okay. So, Crow, back to you.
All right.
I don't see any loss of fastball because he threw a couple balls at New Orleans to Godwin over the middle Sunday. I thought they were too hard. I don't see any deep ball trajectory or distance diminished. It looks like every deep ball he's thrown this year, they got there. They didn't always connect. In fact, the problem with Sunday was he was slightly overthrowing his deeper balls. So, Crow, do you see anything anywhere that's diminished in quickness of foot in pocket or quickness of release?
Now that's one area where I would say I can see a little bit of diminish. It's the pocket presence and understanding how getting in and out. You know, early on in Brady's career, he can move outside the pocket and get up and step into the pocket. You don't really see that now. He's still ducking. He's still trying. Basically, looking at ghosts. Basically, when you still have that option of when he's getting hit a lot more, his feet doesn't move as quickly as they used to. But the thing that he does well is what Shannon said is, if you take away my guys on the outside, I'm gonna take what you give me. And that's exactly what Tom Brady did in New England also. So he got that similar offense here later on in the year when he started running the offense that he wanted to run. He got a little comfortable. The receivers got comfortable with him. And you started to see where he started taking exactly what the defense gave him instead of trying to force the ball down the field. Anytime he saw a single high, you knew where the ball was going. It's going out to Mike Evans. It's going on the outside. He's going to take his one-on-one battles. He's going to take Fournette across the middle against a linebacker because he felt like he can win those matchups. And it's little things like that. But also what helped Tom Brady towards the end of the year was the running game. The running game helped Tom Brady out a lot. When you can go play action pass and throw the ball down the field, it makes it a whole lot easier to get the ball and drive the ball down the field also.
And what did they start doing, Skip? They started motioning. If you notice, BA's offense really is not a heavy.
It took all the way to that late bye week, and they finally said, okay, maybe we should do this.
So now we started motioning, and you look at the motion, now Tom's like, okay. I mean, because that's BA's offense, and that's kind of what Peyton didn't like motion.
Nope, he did not.
Guys line up in a formation, we stay there, I know what I want.
All right, so just me, I still see sweet pocket feet, the ability to create just enough space to get one away if he has to go to his second read. But I'm going to give both of you this. At the slightest hint of a collision in the pocket, he is going to, he's going to just fold up. That's what he does. It's like drop and roll.
Because he's protected. Knowing that you can't drop your weight. Skip, the last thing Tom Brady needs at 43 is for somebody to get him and then drive him into the turf. Let me just go to the ground. You just touch me down, and I will live to see another day.
So I saw like Kurt Warner in his first year with the St. Louis Rams. He would just stand in the pocket and just take it right in the mouth, and throw it through the pass rusher. I think Brady realized, I'm not going to last trying to do that, number one. And number two, trying to throw it through a pass rusher is dangerous because the ball's going to get tipped. You're going to get your arm hit. It's going to go sideways. He just said, if you get me, you got me. And I'm going to fold up, and I'm going to live to play another play.
And that's the only thing, Skip. He doesn't handle pressure like he once did. If you look at his numbers versus pressure, you look at Rodgers' numbers, you look at Mahomes' numbers, you look at Josh Allen's number, their numbers versus pressure versus Tom Brady's numbers. Skip, there was a time you wouldn't dare pressure Tom Brady because you already know what was going to happen if you pressured him. But now it seems to be the only way that you can get him off his mark or to try and bother him is to pressure him.
Okay. I say good luck to the Green Bay Packers and Mike Pettine's defense. Come after him if you like.
Well, y'all better worry about Aaron Rodgers.
I will say this. Mike Pettin did call a heck of a game in 2010 when we put pressure on him. So
I forgot about that. He was your coordinator, right?
He was the defensive coordinator.
Well, he got Jair. Well, who the crow? I mean, if you say Jair Alexander is Reaver, who the crow?
I don't know.
You better have somebody. You need two guys. To run Rex defense, you really need two corners that can get on an island because you ain't getting a whole lot of help.
And by the way,
but I'll say this: Rex didn't really have a front seven.
No.
In New York, but he created pressure by doing similar to pressure along with Mike Pettin. So you got a front four in Green Bay that can apply pressure with 4 or with 5. And now you can create pressure to get Tom Brady off his spot.
Okay, but Mike Pettin's defenses, Brady against those defenses is 10-3.
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Mike Pettin ain't never had an Aaron Rodgers over there. We gonna see you doing all this talking. You know what I want it right now. I'm gonna give you 7 points right now. 3 cases for 7 points.
Seriously?
3 cases right now. I'm tired of this.
No mercy.
What's better than the playoffs? The NFL playoffs continue Sunday with the NFC Championship presented by TurboTax Live as Tom Brady and the Bucs take on Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Pre-game coverage starts at 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. I'm already counting down the days. Well, let's talk about this matchup a little bit more. Tom Brady, we know it. He's got 6 Lombardi trophies and 4 MVP awards. Aaron Rodgers, though, he's no slouch either. He's expected to win his 3rd MVP this season, but has only gotten to 1 Super Bowl in his 16-year career, trying to get back. Skip has said repeatedly that Brady is the GOAT, but Shannon has said several times on this show that Aaron is actually the better quarterback. So, Antonio, please help us settle this thing. Who has been the better quarterback, Brady or Rodgers?
Career-wise, give me Tom Brady any day of the week. And I say that because he's done a lot more with far less on his roster. I mean, he's only had 1 year where he's had Randy Moss and the guys. And I mean, if you include this year with 3 all-pro receivers that he's had in the lineup, but Give me Tom Brady any day of the week just because what he's done while he was in New England and the little bit that he did have to go out and go win 6 championship rings with the caliber guys that he had on that offense side of the ball.
So let me ask you a question, Crow. Is defense important?
Defense, this is a team sport, the ultimate team sport.
Okay.
This is always important.
So in Brady 20 years in New England, he had a top 10 defense 17 of those 20 years. Rodgers has had 3 top 10 defenses. Rodgers has had 1 top 5 scoring defense, and that was the season in which he won the Super Bowl. Tom Brady has 8 top 5 scoring defenses. When you look at Rodgers, Rodgers has thrown 412 touchdown passes, 89 interceptions. The question I have for you, if Aaron Rodgers is in New England, do you believe he has more or less Super Bowls than Tom Brady? Coach Belichick in the same situation.
I think he still had less. Because he couldn't work with the guys that he had. He has to have big-time caliber receivers to succeed in his offense. And it shows that from Greg Jennings to James Jones to Jordy Nelson, all these guys.
If you don't mind, okay, he needs all of those guys. If you don't mind me asking, when those guys left Aaron Rodgers and went to other locations, can you tell me what they did once they left Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, they fell off the.
Why?
I would say that. But you got to think, most guys are what? Scheme guys. If you can scheme a guy, that's the same thing where you put Nnamdi Asomugha. You put him from Oakland and go to Philly. What did he do? He fell off the cliff.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what a quarterback does. It's the people that surround him in that scheme that helps him to produce the points the way that he needs to go. And they can go somewhere else and fall off. That doesn't mean anything at all.
For me, I believe Tom Brady is the most accomplished. But for me, one game, given the exact same set of circumstances, I'm gonna take Aaron Rodgers. If you're gonna give me Coach Belichick and that coaching pedigree, I'll take Aaron Rodgers.
Shannon Sharpe. Taking Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
So why Aaron Rodgers couldn't beat New England? The games I think Tom Brady was suspended on. Why he didn't win that game?
No, Tom came back.
Yeah, he came back, but he didn't play that game.
Yeah, he played.
That's the same game that the offensive lineman returned the what's the name on?
Return the kick.
Yeah. So tell me why Aaron Rodgers? You want to bring up these defenses and everything else, and how great Aaron Rodgers is. And I'm not taking nothing from him because Aaron Rodgers is a heck of a quarterback. But at the end of the day, when Tom Brady wasn't there, he still couldn't beat Tom Brady without Tom Brady.
That's the defense.
New England without Tom Brady, it doesn't matter. So he still had all his weapons still. And somebody else beat him with far less.
What would have happened if Aaron Rodgers had actually gone to New England and been there in the Tom Brady run? I say he would have lasted about 2 practices with Bill Belichick because he couldn't have stomached him. Aaron couldn't have handled that because Aaron's got too much diva in him. He's got too much star in him. Tom had to win in spite of Coach Belichick. He had to overcome him. He had to save the locker room from Belichick. He had to be, to me, the greatest leader in the history of team sports to try to win in spite of a coach who didn't give him much help, decreasing help on offense, and was very difficult to get along with during practice and film sessions because it was his way or the highway. So to me, Aaron wouldn't have lasted in that environment to start with.
I believe he would have lasted, Skip, because I think the thing is what happened is that it all depends on how you start, Crow. It's like when you go to a hard coach, if that's your first dealing with Tom Coughlin coming in as a rookie is a lot different than dealing with Tom Coughlin in year 5 or year 6.
Definitely. 100%. I mean, but like you said, it's all about how he goes into it. I mean, Aaron Rodgers got drafted with Mike McCarthy and everything that was going on with Brent Favre. And it's all about how they come into it. But at the end of the day, we're saying who's had a better career overall between Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers.
More accomplished.
I'm taking Tom Brady any given day of the week.
One thing, let me ask you this. Okay, right now, Tom Brady, the Tom Brady he is, and he gets a coach like Coach Belichick, could he play for him right now?
If he gets him right now?
Right now. Tom Brady's like, we got Tom Brady.
I know, but he just found nirvana in Tampa. He said, I'm finally having fun.
No, the Tom Brady that we know, Coach Belichick wasn't his coach. And he gets a coach like Coach Belichick right now. You think he could deal with it?
If he were a young player or now at 43?
Now.
I don't know. It's such a hypothetical. He chose Arians because he knew he could actually finally have some fun.
That's my point, Coach. He got Coach Belichick when Coach Belichick got Tom when Tom was young, so he could do that.
Okay, I want to remind you. You just said, like, one game for your life, you're taking Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Over Tom Brady.
Okay. Tom Brady has won 6 Super Bowls with 6 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter or overtime. He's been off the charts great late in all those Super Bowl games. And they all came down to the wire, and he won the game with a great drive to set up. I'll give you a field goal, but a lot of times a touchdown. Yeah. And he's also won 2 AFC championship games against Jacksonville. They're down 20-10 in the fourth quarter, and he throws for 124 against Jacksonville. And against Patrick Mahomes, in an AFC championship game in the cold and wind at Kansas City, in overtime, they win the toss, and he converts 3 straight 3rd and 10s. It's impossible. It's never been done before. I don't think it'll ever be done again at that high a level with the stakes that high. And you're saying you'll take a guy who's played in 4 NFC championship games and played, by his standards, lousy in all 4 of them. All 4 of them. He's 1-3 in championship games as Aaron Rodgers.
Skip, do you realize this? Only twice in Brady 43 playoff games has this team given up 37 or more points. Rodgers has had that happen 5 times in his losses. Okay, but look what happened to Tom Brady in the first Eli Super Bowl. He did what he always does. He had a game-winning drive, and with 2 minutes left, he hit Randy Moss with a touchdown that put them ahead 14-10. And where was Belichick's defense against Eli? Let me ask you a question.
They let him go 83 yards for a touchdown.
Let me ask you a question. How many games you think Aaron Rodgers would lose if his defense only gave up 17 points?
Okay, well, what happened in
He gave up 17 points against the Giants, and he lost twice.
Okay, how many points did Nick Foles score against Bill Belichick? The backup quarterback. 41 points. Brady threw for an all-time playoff for 5, 33 points, and lost.
You making my argument, Crow.
No, I'm not. No, you're making my argument.
Skip, I just told
33.
But Shannon, he's just saying from a standpoint of points. You're talking about the defense. Belichick defense gave up 41 points. Yes. They end up losing.
But you think about think about how many times Aaron Rodgers' defense has given up 41 points.
That's almost every week.
Okay, and meanwhile, Aaron was playing lousy football on the other side.
No.
At San Francisco last year.
Crow, were you there? Were you there in Arizona when y'all beat them, 50? When y'all beat them like 55 on that in OT? Were you in?
That was 15 when they beat them that bad. That was when that was 15, season 15. That's when Larry Fitz broke on that big.
No, this was another one. You might have been there, Crow, because the Cardinals beat them in overtime. 51-45.
We ain't playing that yet.
Okay. We ain't playing. Because the Cardinals beat him in the wild card round. If I'm not mistaken,
I remember
51-45.
Well, you talking about his first ever playoff game?
Yeah, might have been. His
first year he started. But we're going all the way back to 2009.
Yeah. 51. How you overcome in a playoff game, Crow? 51. Gave up 50 piece.
Well, that's one game.
Hey, that's one game, though.
Hold on. Didn't they just give up
to the NFC Championship?
What they give how many points did the defense give up in the NFC Championship game last year? 49ers. 40 what? 37. My bad.
Yeah.
What did they give up to the Falcons?
Wait a second. How many did Aaron give up to the 49ers last year? 2 interceptions and a lost fumble.
Skip. He didn't play.
Here you go. QBR 23.
Oh, don't worry about it. Just have my 3 cases. I want you to bring my 3 cases with you on Monday morning. I want 3 cases Monday morning.
Can I get in this 3 cases?
Yeah, you get some too.
Yeah.
I take my 3 cases.
Thank you.
I don't want
6 cases.
No, I don't.
Yep.
Oh, you know what LeBron about to do? He about to be with Pepsi now. You know, he about to come over to my dude.
You know what? He can supply you with the due to pay me.
No.
You can get it for free.
I don't want no diet do. He said he don't do diet do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want diet do either. No offense, Skip. Sorry, that's your thing.
That is
your thing.
No mercy.
With reports that the Lions are expected to name Dan Campbell as their next head coach, that leaves just 2 openings. And surprisingly, Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy is still available. Andy Reid told reporters that, quote, whoever gets him is a very lucky organization. And he also said he hopes Bieniemy goes to the NFC so he doesn't have to face him as often. If he does get a gig, Bieniemy would be the first African-American hired in this year's coaching cycle. So, Shannon, how disappointing is it that no African-American coaches have been hired, especially Eric Bieniemy, because we have been talking about him, guys, it feels like for a couple of years now.
It's very disappointing, Skip. 5 of the 7 vacancies have been filled. Only the Eagles and the Texans are left. And the Texans didn't seem interested in EB until Deshaun Watson got upset.
Correct.
Now Deshaun Watson upset and looks like he might be on wanting the way out. Now all of a sudden they want to do a virtual. Now EB was available, Skip, because remember this year was something different. Only 1 team in each conference got a bye. The Kansas City Chiefs had that bye. That was your opportunity to interview EB. You didn't do it because you had no interest. It wasn't until Deshaun threw a fit, you let it, he said, I'm at a 10. Now all of a sudden, Skip, you see the problem that I have is that what they try to use against EB is that he's not calling the plays. Zach Taylor, the head coach of the Cincinnati Bengals, he was the quarterback coach of the Rams. He didn't call the plays, got a head job. Matt Nagy, the head coach of the Bears, he was offensive coordinator under Andy Reid. He did not call the plays, Andy did. Doug Peterson did not call plays.
Did not.
Andy did. John Harbaugh, who's won a Super Bowl, was a special teams coach and later a DB coach, did not call plays. Dan Campbell, hell, is a tight end coach.
Yep.
When does he ever call plays? And about to get the job in Detroit. You see what they did, Skip, here, is that the NFL didn't want black players until they found out the black players were better than the white ones, and then they couldn't get damn enough of them. The same way in college, they didn't want black players, and then they found out they were better. And then all of a sudden, well, how can't we get enough of them? You look at the search. They had the minority, had it lined up for the Houston Texans. You had 2 minorities as your general manager. They say, forget that. We want the white guy.
They went to an independent.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Here's your 2 candidates right here. Louis Riddick and the guy, Khan, I think his name is Khan from the Steelers. There's your guy. Oh, that's what y'all got? Oh, forget that. No, we want him. So, Skip, what good is it if they give you the information that you paid for? So, in other words, you just paid probably a couple of $1 million, $500,000 million to go on your own when you know damn well you didn't want to hire the minority anyway. Why you waste your money? Because it's all about show. Everything they do is about the show. Oh, they quote Dr. King and they quote this one, they quote that one, and do absolutely nothing about the hiring diversity, but 75% of the players that play, African-American.
So, by the way, if you ignored the Houston Texans, if they ignored their search firm, you think they're going to hire Eric Bieniemy now?
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
And that's why Deshaun going to bounce on them, too. But they're going to learn. And now we got to reward you. The NFL said, we'll reward you if you hire a minority. We maybe give you a 3rd-round pick. Think about it, Skip. I got to reward you for doing the right thing. If kind of like the Emancipation Proclamation, what happens, Skip, is supposed to free the slave.
Yeah, I know.
But guess what they did, Skip? They didn't give the slaves the money. They gave the slave owners the money.
Yeah.
They let the slaves go because we don't want y'all to get upset, so we want to appease you. So what we going to do for doing the right thing, we'll compensate you for doing the right thing. The NFL, look, Skip, Roger Goodell can only do so much. I know Roger. I know him a lot better than you do. I think you've been around him a little bit. But I know Roger. He's a good man. He really is trying. But, Skip, it's hard to tell a man that spent $1 billion, $2 billion, or $3 billion on a franchise who in the hell he should hire. It just can't. I mean, his hands are tied. And they can give you all the lip service they want to about diversity, Skip, but at the end of the day, you're not going to tell me who to hire. But it's sad. It's sad. They can play for you, but you don't want them to be the face of your franchise.
So, to echo everything you just said, I don't find this disappointing. I found it appalling. And I don't know how to fix it for the reason you just gave. College football is appalling to me because they had 13 vacancies. Only 1 went to African-American coach. That was the Alabama assistant.
It went to Marshall.
So now we're all the way down to Mike Tomlin, Brian Flores.
Robert Saleh did get hired.
Saleh got hired. He's of Lebanese descent. I don't know how you qualify.
He's Muslim. They discriminate against him too, so yeah, he in there with us.
And Ron Rivera is from the Hispanic background, okay? Mexican-American, I believe. Okay, so that's it. African-American, you're down to 2, right?
Yes.
And I've lived with this through my friend John Wooten. I've been in touch with him this morning. He has, for years and years, run the First Apollo Alliance, overseeing the Rooney Rule, and he's just at wit's end over this because he thought it was heading in 2017 in the right direction. Right. But all of a sudden, the jobs that were gained by African-American coaches, they were not able to keep.
Correct.
Including, finally, your friend who coached the Chargers. Right? Yes. And all of a sudden, you had these vacancies, and they didn't get filled one time by African-American. And what scares me the most is I don't even hear names of young assistants in the pipeline.
Right.
Do you hear names of, that was the whole idea, the concept of the Rooney Rule. You must interview at least one African-American. Now they're trying to make it at least 2, but that it just gets...
They just hey, come on in here, sit down. We're not going to hire you, but it'll look good. Skip,
Marvin Lewis, you around? Can we get you on Zoom for a second?
Skip, think about Pep Hamilton. Now, Justin Herbert just had the greatest rookie season for a quarterback in NFL history. Ain't nobody mentioned Pep.
No, I haven't heard his name once.
Leslie Frazier. And the thing of it, now Josh McDaniels might get this job. Skip, let me ask you a question. African-American, they give him to say, you know what, we want you to be our head coach. And on the day of the press conference, you said, nah, I'm not going to take it, I'm going to stay where I'm at. Do you think he'll get another opportunity?
Nope. I hear Todd Bowles' name in relation to the Eagles job. Been a head coach before. Do you think he's got a shot? Probably not. I don't know for sure, but I have a lot of respect for him.
It's probably going to want someone, this is what they do, Skip. We want someone that's going to develop our quarterback, work with our quarterback. You better get somebody that's going to be able to lead a team. Because the quarterback is only one aspect of a team. You better worry about the defense. You better worry about the special teams also. So you better get a leader of men and stop worrying about specifics.
So speaking of the Chargers, you know what really got me? That they hired the crosstown Rams defensive coordinator, Brandon Staley. I don't know that much about him, but he's 38 years of age. Just 4 years ago, in 2016, he was the defensive coordinator at John Carroll University. And you want to talk about a meteoric rise?
That's what they do.
What?
I mean, you what? Hey, before we can't become the CEO till we 70, but we don't spend 30 years as a janitor. Nothing wrong with being a janitor, but the one guy come in after hey, you look nice. Hey, we're going to put you at VP. Man, this is ridiculous, Skip.
Really?
I mean, EB can't be, come on, Skip. I'm not Skip, who knows? But at least get a guy a chance.
So I got an analogy for you. I went through this with a guy you know very well because he was your first coach, right? Dan Reed.
Dan Reed, yes.
Okay. So I got to know Dan very well, even while I was out here at the LA Times back in my Cub reporter days. And Dan was the constant bridesmaid, so to speak, for every job. He kept coming in second for maybe 8 or 10 jobs. Couldn't get one, but he was only 37 years of age and obviously a white man. Those were the days when, good luck with any African-American.
Oh, you wouldn't get no job. You wouldn't get
no job.
No job.
Okay, so Dan couldn't get a job, and he was afraid that he was the finalist for so many jobs that it would just burn owners out and say, well, he can't get a job. He doesn't deserve our job. Well, finally, your team, the Broncos, said, you know what? We're going to take a job. What was the knock on Dan? Well, he doesn't call the plays because Coach Landry calls the plays. He's just kind of the quarterback coach or whatever. Well, Dan Reeves ended up going to 4 Super Bowls. He did not win a Super Bowl, but you know him. He was qualified to be a head coach.
Very qualified. But that's the Skip. That's the knock they need to use against minorities when they don't want to hire you. He doesn't call the plays. Or I heard he interviewed poorly. Skip, how do you interview poorly? You was like, okay, here's the staff I would like to hire. This is the type of offense I like to run. This is the type of defense I like to run. Here's my meeting schedule. This is how I like to do things.
There you go.
How you mess that up unless you talk about the man mama or his wife or something?
I don't know.
How you interview poorly?
I don't know. So Eric Bieniemy is now 51 years of age, so I'm sure some people are saying, well, has he sort of passed his time?
You know what it is, Skip? It's kind of like the senior in football or basketball. Hell, if you're that good, why you wait till you're senior to leave? Because you know, normally, Skip, especially in basketball, you one and done. So, the guy at Denver, the Denver head coach right now, I forget it, Vic Fangio.
Fangio.
He had to wait to 50, 60 years old to get a job, so it's not too late, but they bull jiving with EB.
And by the way, Fangio is the one who brought Brandon Staley into the league and fast-tracked him to the head coaching job.
Everybody get fast-tracked except us. We get slow-tracked. Maybe we're on the wrong track. Maybe we're on the right track and just headed the wrong direction. You know, sometimes that's the trade. Oh, you're on the right track, but you're headed the wrong direction.
Because I don't have a great fix.
No, there ain't no fix. The fix is you got to change what's in a man's heart, what's in a man's mind. Guy pays $3 billion for something, he ain't listen to nobody to tell him what to do with it.
You just got to do the Spike Lee Memorial, do the right thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? No mercy.
Antonio Brown underwent an MRI on his knee yesterday, and while the results showed no major damage, he's still day-to-day heading into Sunday's game against Green Bay. AB only had one catch for 10 yards this past weekend against the Saints, but before that had been finding a groove with the Bucs offense. So, Shannon, if Brown can't go, how much will they miss him?
I don't believe they're missing too much, Skip. If you look at what transpired Sunday, Scotty Miller had a big catch. Tyler Johnson might have had the biggest catch of the day. Sunday. So, and plus you still have Evans and Godwin. So that's the thing, and that's why you go get an AB, or that's why you have this plethora of receivers, because if one miss, you have other that can step up. Mike Evans and Godwin are more than capable. Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson are more than capable. And then you still got Gronk into the mix. So, Skip, if AB doesn't play, or if he's not 100%, I don't think they'll miss him as much had AB been the old AB. And he's been the only guy there. But because they have so many different weapons, I don't think they're missing that much at all.
Okay, so I'm going to reiterate what I said the day Tom Brady forced this organization to risk signing Antonio Brown.
Okay.
Tom Brady had his eye on the prize, a home Super Bowl. And I think he convinced Arians and the general manager, and probably all the way up to ownership with Antonio, we have to go this route, because if we're going to win it all, and that's all Tom Brady thinks about, we have to try to assimilate him on the fly. Remember, they're 6-2 at that point, facing New Orleans in a Sunday night home game. We have to figure him out as fast as we can, because if I can get him installed in this offense the way I think I can, because he had him for about a minute, obviously, at New England, then he will become uncoverable in the slot with Evans and Godwin and Gronk at tight end. Well, he wasn't uncoverable because I don't see the old AB yet. I saw a little glimmer, maybe a little flash, the last regular season game at home. Because Tom targeted him 15 times, and he caught 11 for 138 and 2 touchdowns. So he's caught 5 touchdown passes. But then I sat here last week saying, X factor, it's got to be AB. Against that team in that building in New Orleans, he's got to get loose a couple of times, and he never got loose.
Well, I told you what was going to happen, Skip. I always felt that they would put Lattimore on Mike Evans, and they was going to put Jackrabbit on AB. And they was going to let, okay, Godwin, if you're going to eat, you're going to eat. But they feel comfortable with the third corner on Godwin. And what did Tom do? Okay, Brait, I'm going to give you some passes. Okay, Leonard Fournette, I'm going to give you some passes.
That is correct.
Everybody can't cover like those two outside guys.
So on Sunday, he throws AB 3 balls. The 2 of them were just no-hopers. And the third one that he caught.
One of them was almost picked.
Yeah, well, that's true. That was the one up the sideline where he just threw it up for grabs. But here's the one. And remember, he dropped the snap, and I don't think he had a good handle on the football. Throws a fairly deep out route to AB.
I was surprised that didn't get picked.
I agree.
Were you bobbling like this here, and then you still throw it outside the numbers?
I agree. And
I was like,
I'm trying to look at this. I guess he got yanked down, and somehow he got his knee caught up under him, because that's the play that he hurts his knee on. And again, he got an MRI because they thought it was worse than it is, but he is day-to-day. It's some kind of strain or sprain.
Well, I saw him running off the field at halftime, pointing to telling Tom it's his knee.
He was. I saw it. So right here, he gets pulled back. And somehow he's trying to jab his leg into the ground, and the knee goes sideways. Okay, so here's my point. There have been times when I thought this was an embarrassment of riches, where you had too much of a good thing, because sometimes you just can't process fast enough when you have 2 guys who made the Pro Bowl a year ago, and you have the GOAT tight end, and you have a Cameron Brate who right now might be better than Gronkowski is, and you got Fournette who can catch it, and all of them can catch it coming out of the backfield, including LaShawn McCoy, who had a couple of snaps the other day. And all of a sudden, where do you go with the football? Well, what did I crow about the whole offseason? I told you, little Scotty Miller, he ran 4.3 in college. 4.3. I know he went to Bowling Green. And I know he was a 6th-round pick, just like Tom Brady, but they immediately had some kind of wavelength. And that little man, he's 174 pounds, He's got guts.
I mean, but Skip, he's a prototypical Tom Brady receiver. You look at Wes Welker, Edelman, Amendola.
Okay, but this guy is much faster than any of those three guys.
Yes.
This guy's got sprinter-type speed.
Right.
And he's got toughness to him. So do those guys.
Right. Well, you got to play tough to play the slot because you get a lot of collisions.
You're going to have a lot of collisions, but you got to catch some tough balls.
Right.
Every time Brady has thrown it to him, he's made a tough catch.
And plus, he makes more catches outside the numbers than those other three guys. They'll throw him the ball down the field. And they really never threw the ball down the field to those other guys.
They did not. And when I thought he was just a slot receiver, they will line him up outside fairly regularly and just let him run go routes.
And you see, Skip, you see how he run by people? He got, and I don't know what it is, maybe the wide receiver, they can't run that fast.
That is
and
correct.
next thing you know, he behind you in the end zone with the ball in his hand.
Well, I think Jackrabbit sort of lost his concentration for just a split second.
Jackrabbit was looking at the out route.
Well, I know.
That's what he
looking, boom, he's gone.
And that's the thing, Skip. You know, to beat Jackrabbit, you're going to have to double move him. Because if you just throw the typical out, he's sitting on it. He waiting. And Tom knew. Tom said, oh, yeah, I got him primed now. Put him in slot. Because what did he pick the other time, Skip? Remember, he ran the speed out. You got it. You say they ain't playing no more. He ran the speed out from motion. Yep. And he picked it and went to the house. I got him primed right now.
So would I rather have Antonio Brown on Sunday at Lambeau? You better believe I would. But will I be okay if it's some little Scotty Miller?
Yeah. And Tyler Johnson.
And Tyler Johnson.
And Tyler Johnson, of course.
Minnesota's
finest. And I was thinking about it, too. It's going to matter a lot to him that this game is at Green Bay. Growing up in Minnesota, there's going to be a lot there for him. So I'm looking forward to a big one from Johnson.
No mercy.
Well, a meme went viral showcasing the fact that Tom Brady has now been to as many NFC championships as the Dallas Cowboys have since 1997. Dak Prescott definitely took notice, replying to the post by tagging Zeke Elliott in his comment and writing, quote, "Hold my crutches." Shannon, did you like Dak's response here?
I know after 25 years, Tom Brady has been to as many NFC championship games as the Cowboys. Not America's team. Not the one that God cut the hole in the roof so he can see the smile down on them. Not those Cowboys.
Those Cowboys.
What? Even Dak. Dak laughing at y'all. And he the quarterback. I love it. And guess what? You better hope Tom Brady don't get to the Super Bowl because that's going to cut into y'all TV appearances next year. Because Aaron Rodgers there and Tom Brady, so that's going to cut into Jerry. Jerry going to be upset about this. Now that they didn't make the Super Bowl, that y'all not going to be on TV as much as y'all used to be.
So I guess as a lifelong Cowboy fan, I found Dak's response mildly amusing, but it was funny sad because it reminded me, hold my crutches, that I got a quarterback who hasn't yet been signed by the Dallas Cowboys, who is facing a career-threatening injury. And he's saying, Zeke, hold my crutches so I can limp over there and defend our honor.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me feel pretty confident, doesn't it?
He said what he needed you to do is to hold my crutches while I go over here and sign this $200 million check so I can heal up quicker.
Which I haven't earned.
Hey, he earned it. Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that.
Because I'm 7-13 in my last game.
Don't worry.
Right?
And what are the Cowboys? Now, you do realize this is 1997. If I'm not mistaken, Troy, Emmett, and Mike was on the team since 97. Am I correct? Oh, okay, so Tony Romo, correct?
Next question, Jenny.
We're out of time. Skip, I'm sorry. We will address it tomorrow. Undisputed is back.
Hold my pad. I'm
leaving.
leaving.
Tomorrow morning. Good stuff, guys. We're done. Have a good one.